Today we're going to do a little bit of trad content with this JT Traditional Archery Zeus, and I'm working on getting it all tuned up with better arrows, with arrows that are at least better suited for the bow. I've been using these Easton Axis traditional arrows in 400 spine, but I have to shoot them full length with very heavy points. I don't mind the points, but the arrows are just so long. And so what I've got here is the gold tip traditional arrow shafts that are in 500 spine. So they're definitely weaker. They're a little bit lighter, a little bit bigger diameter. Hopefully I'll be able to shoot lighter points on them and cut them shorter, so they're a little bit more manageable to shoot here out of my trad bow. So it's been a little while since I've done some trad content on the channel. I've actually had these arrows, these gold tip traditional shafts, for quite a considerable amount of time, just waiting for the excuse to do a little bit of content to build these arrows up, and I decided today was the day. So what I've already done is taken these gold tip traditional arrow shafts, and I've already fletched them up with 4-inch feathers, left wing, left helical. I used the double-sided tape from Boning to stick them on using my Bitzenberger fletching jig. All went together very, very simply. And then I put in the actual inserts. I just hot melted them in place in case I had to remove them because I'm hoping I'll be able to shorten these arrows some to be able to get a little bit more manageable arrow build. The reason that I want to do this is because, as you can tell here, with these full-length Easton Axis traditional arrows, when I'm at full draw, the arrow sticks, you know, a good, 6+ inches out of the front of the bow. It just looks ridiculous and it's unnecessary. The reason I have them full length though is because they end up being very, very stiff. I don't know why. 400 spine arrows shooting at, this bow's rated 41 pounds at 28 inches. And what I believe I should be having near my full peak draw weight is probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 43, 44. So 400 spine, yeah, it's definitely a little heavy, but they're huge. They're full length, so they should be more than tuned. But I'm not used to shooting off the shelf. You know, this bow is cut to center shot. However, they do stick out, a good considerable amount because the cutout is only to the center point. So I don't know. I'm just, I'm not familiar with trad stuff. It's just definitely not my game. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna shoot some arrows here at 20 yards and get warmed up. I've got a camera downrange so you'll be able to see the impact points the entire time. I'm gonna start with the Axis arrows and see how it goes. I think they're still a little bit on the stiff side. I'm not entirely sure. I do have the brass inserts with the full weight in them, plus 125 or 150 grain points here. So they will be a bit on the slow side and potentially a little bit stiff. And since I am going to be tuning, I'm gonna do a bit of gap shooting and try to be a little bit more precise with my consistency instead of just doing straight up instinctive, because that way I can get a little bit more consistency with the impacts downrange and get a better read on my tune. And I think I'm gonna start with 3 under, because that's kind of what I've been shooting this bow as, just for fun. All right, way low, so I've not gap shot before, so I had no idea where it was gonna actually need to be. So I'm gonna get, I guess, sighted in first. All right, might as well shoot these gold tips as well. So roughly the same crawl. These arrows are way flatter shooting though. And I do like the bright feathers because I can actually see them flying. Where I'm actually putting my point is down at the bottom of the bale, and I've only got bare shafts left. I'm putting my point down at the bottom of the bale with a slight cant holding my sight window vertical. So the sight window vertical splitting the center of the target where I want to hit it, and then the point of the arrow is down at the bottom of the bale, so, you know, I don't know, about a 2-foot gap down there. At the bow, I think the gap is about an inch. I don't know. I don't know how to gap shoot. Maybe somebody can educate me down below. Shoot one more end to warm up. That one I was holding a little low. All right, I think, seeing how I'm grouping fine, I might as well shoot a bare shaft. Let's start with the Axis traditional arrow, the 400 spine arrow with a lot of weight up front. You can see it entered into the bale sticking a little bit on the stiff side with the point headed to the left on the left edge of the gold there. This is only at 20 yards, and if I were to go back to 30 meters where I really prefer to tune, I would suspect that that arrow would show almost one spine too stiff because it would probably hit about 4 or 5 inches to the left of the paper face down there. These are 500 spine, these traditional arrows, the gold tip ones, and we'll see if that makes any difference, or if this makes any difference switching to a 500 spine arrow. They are slightly bigger diameter. I'm shooting much less weight in the point because they are the aluminum inserts with 100 grain points here, so they're definitely much lighter, and they're about 3/4 of an inch shorter actually from the groove of the nock to the end of the shaft where the point would screw in. These are about 3/4 of an inch, almost a full inch shorter. So it's going to end up being pretty close. I don't know, because they're bigger diameter, lighter mass weight. We'll find out. Pretty similar, actually, unfortunately. I don't know why I would need something like a 600 spine arrow here at this kind of draw weight. But maybe I just don't know what I'm doing when it comes to trad stuff. And that one I was a little high. It seems like the gold tip arrows, because they're lighter, I'm at the second cross beam, the one just below the face, or just below the target butt. And with the Easton arrows, because they're heavier, I'm at the bottom of the butt. Both of those stuck in almost exactly the same as the Easton Axis 400s, all slightly too stiff. I'm gonna go down and get them and shoot them again one more time and verify the results. All right, start with the Axis arrows again. And the bare shaft. All right, so it went in the middle but stuck in slightly sideways, point to the left, which the way I standard tune, that is telling me slightly stiff again. And the gold tip traditional arrows. So much faster. Now the bare shafts. That one I was a smidge low, but not that low. Nocking points definitely needs adjustment, but you can definitely tell it's still hitting stiff. And stiff again. So I'm really not sure as to what this cause is. It's almost too stiff. Yes, it's slightly shorter, but I'm just not sure. Is it a known thing to where you need weaker arrows on a trad bow compared to a, say, recurve with a plunger, or a bare bow with a plunger? Does taking away the plunger, shooting off a hard, side shelf, does it make you need a weaker arrow naturally? If so, by how much spine? Please comment below and let me know, because clearly I need weaker arrows in order to shorten these up by a lot. If roughly 1 inch is 100 spine or so, in order to get the arrow to be the front of the riser, I need crazy weak arrows, like 700s or 800s maybe, because these 500s are still way too stiff. So let me know below, because I genuinely am not sure. I haven't really even searched this stuff on the internet, so I probably should do that and see what I come up with. But for the meantime, I'm going to put these heavy points, because I do have a handful of them here in my quiver, are the slightly heavier version of a point. And by the way, it's actually very funny. I'm using this this push back pocket quiver. It's actually very nice. It's got a magnet for the closure system, so you just stick it in the pocket and it snaps shut. But the magnet doubles as a point holder, so the arrows don't fall out, and it also doubles as spare point holders. And I don't know if you can see that. The sun's brutal right now. I'll open that up, and they're just sticking in place and not rattling around in there, which is pretty cool. So what I'm going to do now, I guess, is go down and put the heavy points in those gold tip arrows and see how much of a difference it makes. Now, if you're interested in this back pocket quiver from the Push, or anything else that is featured on the channel, I will have links down in the description below. And if you use code Kaminski at checkout for the Push, you get 10% off any of their stuff. So I've got the heavier points now in the arrows. I think these are 125s. I could be wrong. So not a tremendous amount different. Like I said, the nocking point needs to come down a little bit. And just for the fun of it, I'll shoot these axis again. You just see that knock hanging way right as it flies. Yeah, so everything that's fletched flies great, which obviously is the hope, but the bare shafts definitely need a little bit of work. Those heavier points moved the arrow to the right, but they're still sticking in sideways, where the point's hitting to the left and knocked to the right. So I'm assuming that's still on the slightly stiff side, despite the impact being now centered. I don't know how much of a difference these cut to center shot bows make, so I need to do a little bit of research on my own to come up with a solution and see if it's even possible to get these arrows to fly straight, because I don't even know. I don't know what the main difference there is. I don't know what the contributing factors are there to try to get bare shafts to fly straight, and even if that is an option. So like I said, if you do know that information, please comment below, or if you find a resource on how to adjust these things, please comment below and let me know, because I do want to check that out and try to get the bare shafts to fly a little bit straighter. But if that's not really possible, then maybe I'll just shorten up these 500s and run them at the length that I want to, with maybe some brass inserts and those heavier points. I'm not entirely sure, and definitely will have to do a bit of research on my end. So This is definitely a learning curve, and I do like the feel of the lighter arrow. I like that snap and that punch a little bit better. I definitely still want to try wooden arrows because I've heard that's a totally different experience on a traditional bow. But I like that performance feel of the arrows zipping out of the bow. And it's very nice to actually see those fletchings and feathers spinning and flying down range, because the yellow is actually highly visible, whereas the black ones that I'm using on my axis arrows are not visible even remotely when I'm shooting them. Probably a good thing actually, because then I'm not looking at the arrow and wanting to watch the arrow fly. But, you know, that's part of the fun of archery, and especially why I enjoy trad shooting, because it's just a lot of fun. It's not so much about the setup, even though in this video I'm making it about the setup. It's more about just having a good time and having some fun. So I just wanted to mix it up a little bit and try for a little bit more trad content, see if I can get my bow to tune a little bit better, and share it with you along the way, because this is totally new for me, and I'm sure there's plenty of new archers out there as well that are interested in learning very similarly to how I do by trying and testing things. So maybe this will help you make a better decision as to what setup or arrow build that you may try in the future. Now, hopefully you enjoyed this content, and if you did, please do subscribe and hit that notification bell down below. I'm working on producing all sorts of new content. I have lots of reviews coming up very, very soon. Plus, hopefully, a little bit more traditional content, because I'd like to get an arrow build, an arrow setup, to be shorter so it's not sticking so far out in front of the riser.